Hey, do you guys see that bill that Chuck Schumer passed and what Lindsey Graham had to say about South Carolina's traffic regulations? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't care at all. You know, it's like, let's just not talk about that. Because the person talking about it usually wants to make a point, and then when you're the recipient, it's just like, oh, let's just talk about anything else.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right.
Hey.
Wow. Man.
Hey.
We are back here.
We're back.
We're doing it. We're here again.
We're back. It's been a tad while. I think it's been like a month.
A tad while. It has been a tad while. I've been gone, man.
Yeah,
I've
you've been gone. You were in Lipscomb University.
Lipscomb University. Shout out to Lipscomb University. Yeah, man. I've been in Tennessee doing like fun stuff. Maybe, I don't know. It's like it's like
connecting
with
connecting
friends,
connecting and leading and
making
really
myself feel like I'm doing something
facilitating-
valuable. Exactly.
Yeah, facilitating young people.
That's what I care about. You know, making myself feel like I'm doing something valuable. So, what you been up to, Tennyson, these days? How are you?
I am doing pretty well. I think, you know, we've had some kind of really bad weather here lately. Of late, had our power out for like 4 days, but it's all good. It's back now, and I think we're ready. I think we're.
You're ready? Like for the next storm to hit and free to lose power again?
No. Well, yes. There actually was another storm today, but it wasn't as bad. So.
Thankfully, we're not out of power. Because
Thankfully.
then you know,
Well, we wouldn't be able to bring this amazing content to you guys
without power.
Without the power. So.
Exactly. Well, I wanted to start off just by saying, you know, how are you? Because I'm just curious, you know, how you're doing. And I, you know, one of the troubles of life that I've encountered on a daily basis is that I see someone like an awesome individual like Tennyson, and I want to start up a conversation, and I want to just like say, hey man, how you doing? But it's hard to like find something to say because I don't want to be just like, hi, how are you? I'm Luke. Or like just, hi, how are you?
Right.
Because it feels like it's kind of hard to put someone in a position just to say, oh, I'm good, thanks.
Right.
Like that
and small
always-
talk. It's like the trap of small talk, you know,
Yeah.
like where you're just finding things to say, like weather.
Right. Literally, how's the weather?
Yeah.
And that's like what the best
Or
thing you can
the
come up
weather's
with.
been nice. The weather's been really nice.
Even when it hasn't. Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful day we're having as you're in torrential downpour. Yeah, exactly. But then the problem is when you don't, you know, when you don't just go with hi, how are you, which honestly is fine. You end up looking for like these games like, hey, is a hot dog a sandwich? Stupid stuff like that where like you try to make these conversation starters that are just
it's
so
not a sandwich, by the way,
forced.
but yeah.
Are so forced, right? So I wanted to kind of just take a minute, or even we wanted to talk about some of the worst ways to start a conversation, as well as some, you know, actual good ways that I found I've had success with starting conversations with people,
Personal experience
whether in person or in a dream, that I've been able to have success
in
with.
a dream.
Yeah.
Oh.
In a dream. I have had a great conversation starter in a dream that I want to share.
That's
But
interesting.
anyway, before we get there, I think we should probably start with worst. We need to talk about like the worst ones. And I think just off the bat, the conversation starter that I've heard from people talk to me that I'm always like, nope, I don't want to have any conversation with this person. I'm done. Is, hey, we need to talk.
Oof.
Just, you know, like actually, I don't think we do. Because then the problem is what that person's saying is, I have a very important thing to share with you, but not now. It's like, just, hey, bud, don't bring it up at all, you know?
Right.
And then, of course, you're used to the we need to talk from like parents.
Right.
Like, okay, now I have like in trouble. But then if it's like a
Right.
peer or even like if you're in a relationship with someone says we need to talk, it's like, my goodness, just bring it up.
Yeah.
Just
like,
say it.
Yeah. No, I keep feeling that. Like, I always feel like people are like, let's discuss something, or let's like, you know, like circle back or something, you know? And I'm just like, can we talk about it now?
Exactly.
You know, just like if we say it now and we just talk about it right now and we don't have to reference talking about the thing, you know?
Exactly. And those whole like, you know, we need to talk type conversations that I've heard people describe as courageous conversations, which is honestly not a bad word to describe, because it is, that it requires so much effort by both sides to like be listening to each other and want to be reaching to the best, you know, that it's often like, it's just a lot of mental energy that to someone just to start it with, hey, we need to talk. it's like just throwing you entirely for a loop, and it might be best
Yeah.
to just begin the conversation and let it kind of occur naturally. And I've pretty much never been excited about going into a conversation where the person was saying, we need to talk.
Yeah. That my spirits are automatically dropped.
Shattered.
Say that.
Shattered
Broken.
immediately.
Wasted.
Yeah. You have any, hey, Tennyson, friend of mine, do you have any bad conversation starters?
Why, yes.
Well, there's another one. Anyway.
Yeah, so we need to talk about this one. Why are people bringing
Okay,
up
hold on.
why are people bringing up politics in conversations? Like why is this happening? Why is this a thing that needs to happen? Because it's fine when you're like talking about it with somebody that you know like really well. But when you're taught, I'm thinking like in groups or even like acquaintances. If you're bringing up politics, just don't put people in that situation.
Right.
Because you are automatically making it uncomfortable for yourself and for them, because now there's sort of like some conflict and some pressure to kind of
Exactly.
keep the peace.
Right.
And also you know, it's hard to say what you truly, you know, believe,
Sure.
you know, in a group like that.
And if you go like controversial and you like try to get controversial topics, it's just almost never a good idea to start. Like with friends, I've had some of the best conversations I've had.
Oh, for sure.
Have been about like controversial topics
Yeah,
like that.
right.
But it's really hard to get there, and to start there is a disaster.
Right.
And like the flip side of politics is like trying to be up with current events, and it makes people feel really like ostracized when you start talking about, hey, do you guys see that bill that Chuck Schumer passed and what Lindsey Graham had to say about South Carolina's traffic regulations? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't care at all. You know, it's like, let's just not talk about that. Because the person talking about it usually wants to make a point, and then when you're the recipient, it's just like, oh, let's just talk about anything else.
They're talking to like a brick wall because you don't care.
Right.
And to be clear, I think you mentioned that talking to friends about it is different. That's completely true. I'm thinking like acquaintances and like groups of people where you don't know everyone super well.
yeah.
Politics is like deadly.
Like if you're thinking of a group conversation, terrible call. Even
Right.
one-on-one, still rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah. That kind of goes into my next one, which is like for one-on-one conversations. The biggest like groaner way to start is with, hey, guess what? Now, let's be clear about this one, because I used to start conversations with this all the time. And it's like, hey, Tennyson, guess what?
Yeah.
Like, let's just try it. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Tennyson, guess what?
What?
Guess.
Oh,
No, guess.
guess.
Yeah.
It's your birthday today.
Nope.
Oh, you got a cat.
Close. Yeah, this conversation is terrible.
Wow. I'm really not enjoying this.
Yeah. So guess what is really only like to start a conversation terrible. If you're in a conversation and you remember something, potentially it's good, but you got to be really solid with a guess what. You got to be immediately telling.
Well, right. Yeah. And if you say like, guess what the capital of Russia is.
Like a quiz?
yeah.
Like quizzing someone?
Yeah. Like,
Oh.
like, yeah. Like I've
Even
had-
worse.
I have had people come up to me and say, guess what? And then they insert random fact that only
so
they would
terrible.
know. It's just like the conversation dies, right? There's nothing to break off of there from.
That feels
There's
so
no
forced.
tangents. Yeah.
It was someone
right.
going like, hey, do you know why M&Ms were originally invented? It's like kind of interesting fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the actual reason is like for military people to eat chocolate that won't melt or something. I think that was the original reason.
Oh, well.
But regardless,
melt.
if I'm just to come up, well, okay, not as quickly. But anyway, if I'm just come up with someone in a random conversation and just say, hey, do you know, guess why M&Ms were originally invented? It's just like, I don't want to have a conversation with you if you're starting with a fun fact.
Right. And guess what? Guess how people react? They'll be like, and now it's just like, it's dead. It's a dead conversation now.
Right. And of course, especially if you're trying to like start a conversation with someone you're interested in, like that's a big reason people want help with conversations is because they see someone cute and they want to say something. Saying a fun fact, it feels like you're trying to create an environment where you can have like any sort of words being shared, you know? Like if I see someone come up to me, it's like, hey, do you know why this? And they're a girl. and they're kind of, I feel like I get a vibe that they're into me.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just get the reaction like, oh, you tried. Like, maybe just don't say that. Maybe just ask me how I'm doing. You know,
how are
at
you?
least.
How are you? Great conversation starter.
Absolutely. Maybe, right?
Possibly.
It can
but
be good.
usually.
Yeah. Because if you just ask, hey, how are you? I'm nine times out of 10, especially if you're a stranger, I'm going to say, oh, I'm fine. You know,
Good.
maybe.
I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm good. How are you? Good.
Right. That's kind of like that average default conversation starter,
Mm-hmm.
which can be good, can be bad, but it depends on who you're talking to. You know?
One that I've found that can be good, and it's kind of different from how are you is just how's it going.
More casual.
Right. Sometimes people will still say good to that,
Yeah.
and sometimes people will actually say like what's going on,
Oh,
or like
and now
what's
you're in.
and now I'm in, right?
Yeah.
Instead, because how are you doesn't always they don't always say like what they're doing or what's been going on. You know, like
Right.
if I say how's it going, you could say oh I'm just like really tired. We went to like a water park yesterday, like, and now I have material to work with, right?
Right, but okay, to be fair, if I come up to you and say, hey, Tennyson, how's it going? Are you literally going to go, you know, not great, honestly? Like, is that,
True.
Is that gonna happen?
That's very true. Maybe it's just in my mind how it works, but
Yeah,
I find it sometimes it works better than how are you?
it does. And it's way more natural to say, oh, hey, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah.
Especially if you're after just a pure acknowledging of the other person, how's it going? 10 out of 10. But in my opinion, it's not the best like conversation starter.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah,
but
I
it's
guess
like
you're-
it is a quality thing to say.
Right. It's good. It's good,
Right.
but not great.
Good, not great. Sure. But I get, like I said, default conversation starter. How are you? How's it going? How are you feeling? On the other hand, is sort of getting more closer,
A little deeper.
a little deeper, because you're actually asking someone to share their feelings as opposed to how are you?
Right.
Because when you say how are you, people, even if they maybe even wanted to share how they're doing, probably don't feel like they have the go ahead to do that. But if you say how are you feeling, someone might actually say, yeah, I've been better. And then you can go, oh, what's up? And then maybe you can actually like talk about something if you know you want to actually go somewhere
Right.
with the conversation.
That's a good point.
Do you have any like other pro tips? Because I feel like we've talked about bad ways. Do you
Yeah.
have any pro tips for like good ways for conversations to go start with? Because I feel like people often think compliments are a good way to go, and it can be, right? Like I was literally today watched a video of someone and they smiled and they had like this really, really cute smile.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I were talking to this person, I would want them to know that I thought they had a cute smile. Like I was like, oh, I'd want her to know that I thought her smile was cute. But what up? How am I going to communicate that to her? Because I feel like every way I could think of is just not good.
It's gonna come off not the way you want it to come
It's
off.
gonna be either creepy or like expecting something. Like here's a few ones I was thinking. I was thinking like, hey, I don't know if anyone ever told you this, but you have a really beautiful smile. No, you know, like
Yeah.
if someone said that to me, like if I'm like sitting there and someone says, hey, I don't know if anyone told you this, but you're beautiful or you're handsome, like then my response is thanks or oh
Thank you.
So like for instance, so in that instance, I mean, you could literally just say something as basic as, oh, you have such a cute smile. Boom. Like just say what you're trying to say.
Like, straight up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then trying to like, oh, you know, pickup line, forget it.
Oof.
Or like you dropped from heaven and who gave you that smile? Or you should smile more. Yikes. Big time yikes.
I think that's sad though. Like it's sad that you can't that compliments, you know,
Right.
have become like pretty like superficial, and that you know when you try to give someone a genuine compliment, you know, it can come off like, you know, not the way that you want it to come off.
Right.
Like you were saying. I think another one of my go-to conversation starters is kind of, have you seen blank, or did you see the game or something,
Oh, okay.
or like an event that is pretty generally known.
Okay.
I try to keep it general. Like it depends on who I'm talking to. If I know someone watches basketball, for instance,
Right.
because I'm a basketball fan.
Yeah.
I'd say, did you see the game on Thursday or something? Right. So it's kind of I tailor that to who I'm talking to. That's not so good for new people because
Yeah.
I'm not kind of sure like what they like or what
Yeah.
they don't like.
Because you could literally get a no.
Right.
You could
Yeah.
have you seen that? Nope.
Nope.
It's like terrible.
Yeah. And then where do you go from there?
Right.
But yeah, it's just kind of using kind of like a pretty generally known event or movie or something that
Right.
could spark some kind of conversation.
A high probability for a shared experience is what I'm hearing you say.
That is a good summary. That is a good summary.
And that's always that's generally pretty successful, especially if you know someone's interests. I found that as well.
Do you have any more? Any
I'm still
positive
thinking about
ones?
compliments too, because I feel like there's got to be a good way to say that. For instance, one of the times someone has complimented me and it didn't feel weird. Not really even as a conversation starter, but just as a way to be able to compliment someone. Like if you want to say that to someone.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if someone's like complimented like my eyes before, like okay, whatever. But if they were just to have said to me, Luke, you have beautiful eyes. That's just like kind of weird. And if I'm thinking that I wanted to say, oh, you have really beautiful eyes, or your eye, I'm getting lost in your eyes.
Okay. Whoa. First of all,
Okay, it's bad.
your
right?
eyes are an ocean.
And ocean eyes, yeah, and the other person has no idea how to respond to that. So,
Right.
But what the person said to me was, they said that shirt makes your eyes like really good, or like that shirt really compliments your eyes.
Normally they look terrible, but like that shirt like really brings them out.
No, like that blue of your shirt really makes the blue of your eyes stand out. It looks really good. And it's like just like genuine. And I think what the point of that is that it's making the key of the compliment a little bit like indirect almost. You're still getting it to them, but you're doing something that's far more like acceptable in air quotes.
It's not just I like your blank. I like your eyes.
Right.
It's like almost giving like a reason for it. You know?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's one compliment that I have not given, but I feel like consistently is pretty good is, just saying to someone like, I like your energy, or I like your vibe,
Yeah.
because that's sort of, it's not appearance based, right? And it's a slightly deeper, and it feels like really natural and really authentic
Right.
when you compliment someone's energy as opposed to like their shirt or their shoes.
Yeah.
It's kind of more personal almost,
Yeah, and I think what even that's getting at is that it's getting at someone's desire to be like wanted. I think, and even potentially even like yes, and like an even better way to say that could even be, I really like being around you. Like you're really easy to be around. Like you're really easy to talk to.
That's
those
another
are
way of saying it. Pretty much
awesome compliments
Yeah,
to receive.
that's really great.
If someone were to come to me and say, I love being around you. Like you're really easy to talk to. Those were like, oh man,
That's really good.
Really quality compliment. Especially if you can obviously only say it if you mean it. But
Right.
if you do mean it, say it.
I can like your socks.
My black socks.
I can say that I like
saying
your socks.
Dickies on the top.
I can
Quality socks.
They are good socks though. I'm wearing some Dickies too.
Oh, thank you. Man, those Dickies socks really complement the Nike swoosh on your
thank you.
shoes. Yeah.
These are actually my bad shoes. They have a flap on the bottom.
You're wearing like 4 different brands right now, right?
That is true. I didn't really think about
The outfit.
the outfit
In your
the
own
drip.
house?
I didn't
You didn't think about
I
that,
didn't
but
do
put
a
it
drip
together?
check this morning.
Oh, it's okay. I'm wearing tan cargo shorts with a Messiah University shirt. Not my best. Not my best.
Hey, it's good. It's good.
Okay. Compliment me then.
It's good. I like your energy, and I like the way that those shorts kind of align with the colors, and they really enhance your personality.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm glad to know that the tanness of my cargo shorts enhance my personality. I thought you were gonna say that you liked the way that the shorts like fit me, which kind of are a weird thing to say.
Yeah, that is weird.
I've also heard that calling people calipigian is a pretty nice compliment. And for those of you that don't know what that means, I just encourage you to look that up.
Look that up, and call someone.
No, yeah.
Use it. Use it first. Use it first.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
call
look it up.
someone, hey, you're looking really calipigian today.
Can we tell how to spell that just for
Yeah, it's
people?
CALLIPYGIAN.
Okay.
And then ask the person to look it up. That way you both can enjoy that moment together.
Right.
That's definitely
another good conversation starter.
Yeah, and then you could be like, oh wow, I can't believe that's what that word means, and it's silly. Just don't do it if it's someone you're interested in. Just we'll give you a disclaimer. Don't do it if you're interested in that person. Any other quality conversation starters that come to mind?
Any that come to mind?
Well, I can share the one about the dream that I had.
Okay, yeah. Let's do the dream. Let's do the dream. I'm interested.
So this was like the day after I visited Messiah, which is my college, as like the accepted students day.
Okay.
And I was feeling like pretty confident in my ability to like meet new people and talk to people.
Is this the same one that made you like wear pink for like because you're homeschooled?
Yeah. So same event, and like the night or after that or something, I had this dream where I was in like this cafeteria area, and this is such a small thing, but I realized that it was actually an effective way of starting a conversation, and I was like choosing between a strawberry drink and a raspberry drink, like strawberry raspberry tea or something, and like I was wondering what I would go with, and in the dream I turned to the girl behind me and I was like, okay, should I go with strawberry or raspberry? Because I'm not sure. You know, like I don't know what to go with here, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Okay.
And I realized that that's actually a very solid way of starting a conversation if you want to like have a conversation with that person.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you're asking them to help you make a decision. Like that's the concept. Asking
Right.
them to help you make a decision about, you know, you're stuck with this. Oh, I need your thoughts on this. Hey, can you settle a debate? Even has been a thing. But like hey, I need to make a decision. Can you help me? Is like showing it's working in a lot of ways, because you're showing, hey, I want to talk to you, and I'm also genuinely interested in your thoughts, and I value your opinion,
Right.
and I also, you know, and that way the person can either, that's very comfortable for the person, because the worst conversation starters are uncomfortable for the person receiving them. But if someone says, hey, should I go strawberry or raspberry, and you don't want to talk to that person, you go, I go strawberry, and then that's it.
And then you can leave it.
Or if you're interested in the person, it kind of gives you an opportunity to go, well, they're both pretty good, maybe, and then they could throw it back at you like, oh, what are you thinking? What are you?
You're more of a
feeling?
tart or a sweet kind of person,
And then you can have a little banter.
Yeah, right.
You know, talk about it, and then they can share numbers and everything. It's perfect.
Yeah, I really like that one because it's non-invasive, right? If you think about almost every other conversking starter, they are direct, right? I'm asking you a question
Or telling you something
about yourself,
Right, exactly.
And this is almost like you're looking collectively at a thing, so it's almost like you're not. It's less invasive, right? Because you're referencing, you know, a third party thing as opposed to direct conversation between the two of you.
Right, and of course, everyone has an opinion on something, and you're not bringing up an opinion like something super controversial where they may not actually have an opinion, but something like very basic, like vanilla or chocolate, which people are bound to have an opinion on.
Right, it's vanilla.
Yeah, and of course, there's ways you can make all of these conversations go terrible, but I feel like that was just a really effective one that I was.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's.
It was like in your subconscious. You were
Yeah.
like, you already had that.
My confidence coming off of that gave me some good material for future. It's like a superpower. It's pretty nice. I dream conversation starters.
You're the conversation superhero.
Right, and then I dream conversations that go poorly, so I know what not to do. It's great.
Wow. So you don't even need to get advice from anyone. You're just
Exactly.
like, you have it all in your head.
Just trial run it in my dreams.
Wow.
It's great.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, I had one last my favorite conversation starter of all time, but I wanted to have you share one more if you had another one in your head.
Okay, well, I'm curious to hear yours, but I want to get one more negative one in here because
Okay,
I feel like
negative?
We need more negativity here.
this I'm very comfortable with the energy we have in the studio today.
Dude, the energy
and
is
we need
comfortable.
a little bit more negativity just to get it on edge. Yeah.
Okay, so this one, hey Luke,
What's up, man?
no offense, but I really hate that font on your shirt.
Wow, it's like the most basic collegiate font
Yeah.
for a school.
Yeah, right. But I wasn't an insult because I said no offense, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. We're good.
We're
cool.
good, man.
We're straight.
Yeah, for sure.
See, that's just bad. That's
always
that's just
bad.
bad. Because no offense is, it's accompanied by an
Literally.
insult, right?
Yeah, always.
It's just like,
forever and always.
be prepared. I'm about to insult you.
Actually, speaking of that, though, a good way to do no offense, because everyone knows that there's an insult happens after that. What if you
Right.
said no offense and then followed up by a compliment? Like, hey, no offense, but that shirt looks really good on you.
I'd be like, thank you. Why'd you say no offense?
Oh, I just wanted to make sure you didn't take it as an insult.
Oh, yeah. I was going to take that compliment as an insult.
As a compliment. Yeah, that's just as bad. That's just as bad. Don't.
I don't know about that one,
Just don't
but-
start sentences.
Yeah, just no offense. Just try to avoid it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another negative one. Do you have a positive one? I feel we should, we should end on a good
Sure,
note.
yeah. This is my golden one. Now, to set the stage for this only really works. Okay, also, if I've ever used this, if you've ever said this to you, if we've been in a conversation and you're listening to this, I'm not trying to play any games. I just genuinely want to know how you're doing, okay? So, what works best is if you're sitting down, or even more importantly, not facing each other. Like,
Okay.
this works really well if I'm just sitting next to someone, and I'm kind of we're next to each other,
Okay.
pointed in the same direction. Because because it's not very confrontational.
Okay.
But it's a request to be vulnerable.
Okay.
Because sometimes if I see that someone looks like they have things on their mind they want to talk about, I want to hear those things.
Right.
And speaking of that, the phrase is, "What is on your mind?" or "What are you thinking about?" Either of those two, I've had a lot of success with getting to talk with people about how they are doing in a way that you can't accomplish when you ask someone, "How are you doing?"
Right.
Because it shuts it down when you say, "How are you?" or "How are you doing?" because people are just going to expect that you're expecting them to say fine. But when you say, "Hey, what are you thinking about?" or "What's on your mind?" it literally gives the person the opportunity to talk about anything. Because if I say, "Hey, what's on my mind?" we're just like, not much. Boom, that's the end, right? Not a problem. But if they say, "Oh, actually, this,"
Actually, I've been really stressed lately
yeah,
because I've been studying for the PSAT, and it's been, super stressful.
this sounds like it's real, Tennyson.
Well, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, Tennyson, what's on your
I'm just
mind?
giving an example.
What's been on your mind lately? What have you been thinking about recently?
I've been, so I've been studying for the PSAT.
It's real. It's real.
It's real.
It works.
It's real. I'm not super stressed yet because it's not super close.
Okay.
But
How is that? What's been stressful about it?
it's been stressful just because there's a lot of preparation that needs to go into it, and I feel like I'm not super prepared for it, and sort of I'm figuring out kind of the questions that they're going to ask and sort of like how they structure it, and I feel like I'm too I'm getting there.
What do you mean?
I'm getting there in my preparation for it.
You're getting in there.
Like I am on my way.
Okay. And is it stressful because you feel like you're not going to reach that, or is it stressful because you feel like it's just a lot of work to get there?
I think it's just, it's not super stressful because it's not super soon. But it's just it's a lot to prepare for. I think it's just like the amount of preparation that needs to go into it.
Okay. So you're not stressed. You're a little overwhelmed with just the responsibilities you're expecting to have.
I don't think I'm even overwhelmed. I think it's sort of a good kind of stress. I would call it stress, but it's like a good stress because it's like prodding me to work on it.
So it's
as
good.
opposed to negative stress.
So by the anticipation and the excitement of a deadline, this has been almost motivating you to get to something that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Sounds good.
There
See,
you go.
look at that. It just started from what's on your mind.
There you go. And now we went from a negative to a really good positive.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
steering the conversation around to good things.
And that's a whole even different point that we could get up, is like when you're talking with someone about trying to level up their like emotions almost. Because I heard this guy talking about this lady that he met at this like conference or something. She's like just finished a job interview, and he was asking how she was doing, and she was like, "Oh, I'm extremely fearful about this job interview, or this job that I'm going to be joining recently." And he was like, "Oh, really? Well, what if you're not? What if you're just a little anxious about it?" And she was like, "Oh, well, maybe I'm not extremely fearful." And he's like, "Yeah, because I mean, they've hired you, they want you to work with them, and you're just a little anxious about getting there." And she's like, "Yeah, maybe I'm just a little anxious." And then he's like, "Well, what if you're not? What if you're actually a little timid, but really excited?" And he's like, God has given you this opportunity to work at this place where people are valuing you, and you're excited to work here. You're excited to work with these people. This is like your dream job. This is God's dream job for you too. And she's like, "Yeah, I am." And then like he kept going, and he eventually ended up with like, "What if you're not? What if you're quietly confident and really joyful?" And like that's where they were able to get from extremely fearful to there, just by like talking about what's on your mind, what are you thinking about, how are you feeling in that regard, and just allowing that person to be able to talk about anything, because you want to be able to allow someone to talk about stuff that they want to talk about in a conversation when you want to start a conversation with someone. But you don't want to be like you don't want to feel like there's so many possibilities that when you ask someone, "What are you thinking about?" or "What's on your mind?" it almost gives that general but also makes it very specific as well.
Right. Yeah. Like it's open ended, right? I think that's a good point about conversation starters. That good conversation starters are open ended, and not yes or no questions.
Right.
Because those usually taper off more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But open ended questions can taper off more quickly, or they have
Yeah.
the option of expanding into like this, really good conversation.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is cool. I'm honestly curious to hear what other people's perspectives are on like good conversation starters that they've had any success with. So if you're listening to this and you have one that you're like, ooh, I have a good one, definitely let me know, because I'm curious to hear them, and we can even talk about them in the future.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Or if you're listening to this on YouTube, which we do have these on YouTube, we have a comment section that exists.
We do.
And I'm more than
and we
happy
don't
to
get
hear
very
those.
many. We don't get any
Any.
comments.
We haven't got
We don't
be our
get
first
any.
comment, because eventually we got to have like an advice portion where people send in their questions and we
Right.
give them advice.
And
That'd be
we're
so
gonna
fun.
need you guys. We're gonna need you guys to respond for that.
We actually need responses.
Oh, you can respond now if you want. Well,
Yes.
We don't have a topic though.
No, just tell us your problems.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then
Problems.
Like a situation that you're in that's annoying, or a problem you're having with someone, or with a situation, or with like just anything
It can be super general or super specific.
that you'd want advice about. That could be generally, not too good of advice, but reasonably good advice.
Yeah, sure.
Just something
Well-
that we could do, that we could give.
Well, yeah. We're
We're
awful.
We're awful.
We will offer our expertise
Yes.
in a wide variety of your issues.
Yes,
So
indeed.
let us know those. Text us. Comment those.
Yeah. And I think
Anywhere you
we're on
want
some
to.
new platforms, right?
Yeah, we are actually. It's exciting. We're now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher,
Stitcher. What's Stitcher?
Amazon Music. Stitcher is like, I don't know, music.
Music,
Podcasts?
like third-party
Podcasts?
music. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're on it.
We're on there. Amazon Music, YouTube, of course, Google Podcast, and Radio Public, which
Which I know my friends just love chatting about Radio Public
it comes up in conversations a lot.
all the time. I love talking with people about my Radio Public podcast. That they
Exactly. So yeah, any of those, evangelize it.
No. Dude. Hey, if you want to witness. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, and hopefully you'll be able to use some of these conversation starters with ultimately the goal of being able to have genuinely curious and open conversations with people, because the key of all of this should be genuine interest and curiosity about the other person, because if
That's what good conversation
subtext-
stems from.
Yeah, if the conversation subtext is I'm genuinely just curious about learning more about you, and you're able to communicate that just through your question, you're bound for success.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been real.
It's been great.
Thanks
It's been
for-
awesome. Thank
thanks
you
for-
so much for listening.
Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
With who knows what's going to talk about next time? Or no, advice. That's it.
Advice.
Let's
We
hear
need
your
your
questions.
advice. See ya.
Peace.